All right. We are back.
Music.
Yes, with our new intro
Right?
for our Expert Style Lounge. Thank you, Amanda, for creating that.
Yes.
And welcome back, everyone, for this is your mid-year style check-in. So today we're going to be talking about a mid-year style reset. And do you actually still like the way that you're showing up? Right? This is a good time to check in with yourself and see where you're at, especially when it comes
Yep.
to your style and the image that you're putting out there for 2025. So I'm excited to get into this. Are we
Yeah,
ready
I'm
to kick this
excited.
off?
Leave.
Yes.
Like, it's mid-year already. Like, what? Goes by so
It's summer. It's summer. It's like this is summertime now. Can you believe that the year's flying by?
It is. It is. I've seen so many, like fall forecasts. I'm like, okay, fashion. All right. Calm down.
We got
Exactly.
the season ahead, right?
Right?
That's right. Yes, yes. So let's get into it. Courtney, do you want to kick us off?
Sure. So just to piggyback on what you said, we're halfway through the year and we want to know how you're feeling, right? What is this? What are you feeling about your wardrobe? Has it served you well up to this point in the year? At this point, you can make changes, right? You don't have to go the rest of the year feeling a certain kind of way if you feel like your wardrobe hasn't quite met you where you need to be. Mm-hmm. So it's all about because we're growing every day, we're changing, we're, developing both personally and professionally, and our style should evolve with us in this. So let's talk about how maybe style has changed for you and how you show up in your image so that our audience can kind of understand where we're coming from when we say your style evolves with you.
Mm-hmm.
Ready? Want to start there?
Yeah.
Amanda?
I guess I'll jump in. So for me, my style definitely changed when I jumped into real estate. And I know that I've, said this story a few different times. So those of you that are watching, listening, I apologize if this is like, oh, there's that story again. But for those that haven't heard it, that's where my style evolution came from and where I saw my own ROI from my own style change and let me know, it's definitely impactful. It definitely does do something and it definitely does have a mindset shift for you. But I very much so, when I was a brand new realtor, I was in my 20s and I was dressing the way that I thought a realtor should dress, but I was also in Maine. So just add that like good old LO Bean layer to that. Style has definitely gotten better and changed quite a bit since then. And so for me, I had an open house that did not go well, and I knew that it was because of my style. So my next open house, I showed up much more in the style that I was starting to gravitate to, and I truly felt that would be more representative of my intellect and how much knowledge I had of real estate and the home that I was showing. And I had a much better reception and I became $1 million producer. So I became just like my own style story. I felt that gut punch that some of my clients feel of like, I walked into the room and I felt immediately this or immediately that. So I felt that it was, a great experience to go through to get the, full understanding and to understand how much style can influence so many different things. So that was my midlife, beginning life reset. That for now, like my style has remained pretty consistent with just like a few tweaks, but yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, that's good. That's good. So of like your role and how you were showing up was that impact or that catalyst for change. So that's good. And I know that a lot of our listeners can relate to that right? Because that's often whenever we're going to make a pivot or a major change, that's when we feel like we want to change everything, our hair, our clothes, all the things. Um, because there is a such thing as style fatigue, right? You get really tired of wearing the same old things and showing up. And so that's why we're calling this a mid-year style reset, because you can do that. You can do that. And you don't have to do that with overhauling your whole wardrobe. You can actually hang on to some foundational pieces and restyle those, maybe add a few things in that will help refresh your wardrobe. So, in terms of stories, I think for me, the big pivot with my clothing was when I went from showing up in person to working remotely, right? Fully working remotely.
Yep.
I had all these in office things, right? And now here I am sitting behind the computer 100% of the time, this whole Zoom thing. And we talk about people that happened during COVID. For me, that happened many years before COVID, because I was just working from home. And so it does become, when you're client facing and when you've got to show up or you're facilitating the meetings and being on camera is important, you do want to show up in a way that's put together. So for me, that was, I didn't want to wear the suits. I didn't want to wear all the things I wore in the office, but I still wanted to maintain some sense of professionalism, right? So I started picking tops that had some visual interest, kind of like this, plaid black and white one, or, some brilliant colors or different things just allowed me to show up, in a way that, was, again, put together and professional. And that's going to be different for every industry that you're in. But you can play around with it and find something that resonates with you. You can have a work capsule wardrobe that allows you to shift between a few pieces. It doesn't have to be a huge, a big deal, right? You have things that are your go-to pieces that you can show up in that are going to help you shine. So for me, it was like making that major transition, and that's what caused me to kind of refresh my wardrobe in a way that was more fit for virtual than in person, right? So
These are really good to like really think about what point you want to kind of hit that reset button. And some of the resets can be small, right? They don't have to be major resets, like if you lost weight and you have to revamp your whole wardrobe, or maybe it is just like you want to start to get yourself in like more opportunities, or you want to get that promotion, or you want to start dating. Like I just worked with a client this weekend who's going to put herself back out there for dating, right? So she's thinking about, oh, I have all these professional looks, like she has amazing clothes, but then I'm like, did she have enough for the dating, right? So these resets could be small or they could be major. One for me was, I would say post COVID, because I really thought about what direction do I want to pivot, my business. And I had a major, up level in the way I was selling my services. And I was doing a lot of stuff online and showing up, in a way where I really wanted to build that trust and credibility digitally. And, I had been doing a lot of business locally in New York, but once COVID hit, things went online. I started to think about my online image a lot more. And I said, I really have to level up my image and show people digitally that I am an expert, right? And that's when I started to shift my whole identity, I would say, and level up, like I am the go-to image expert for entrepreneurs, for high level executives and CEOs who really care, to be more like polished and professional for business and to attract opportunities and make more money. And so I started to focus my business on that type of clientele. So I had to look like that. I had to look like
Mhm.
I could help them close bigger deals. And I
Right.
redid, all my branding photography and everything for that. So I had to really think about my image and level it up a lot more. So that was when I had a huge reset, I would say, in how I was showing up, especially in the digital space, online and my marketing and stuff. So that was a big one for me.
Very good. Very good.
Hmm.
Well, I think those are examples that you can use and learn that, like Tavia, to her point, it doesn't have to be something big. It could be something small. I know I resonated with the losing weight because I've been on a fitness routine this year and I've gotten a lot fitter. The weight, it's not as much weight as it's been inches, right? But it doesn't
Hmm.
matter whether it's weight or inches, your clothes fit differently, and that sometimes forces a reset as well. But let's
Yes.
get into like what you're leaving behind, right? Like
Hmm.
there's some things that when you evolve or when you're stepping into like this, your new role or this new designation in your business, what did you leave behind, right? What did you, um, was it a piece? Was it your mindset? Was it something you added? What was that one thing that you were leaving behind in your style story in order for you to move forward? I think this is a really interesting question because style is not just what we see, it's how you feel, right? It's your mindset, how you feel about yourself and how you're showing up. So that's kind of where I'm going with this question.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I think for me, I personally didn't feel like I was like giving up like any portion. I just felt as though I was finally like stepping into the like mirror reflection of
Hmm.
where I was in my mindset and in my knowledge of real estate and all of that. So for me, I didn't really feel like that happened, but I have witnessed it time and time again with clients. And I bet you ladies have as well, that like when we're going through and most of us do this, style discovery, chat, and get lots of great information from our clients. And then we do either a blueprint or like a personalized style mood board to like give our clients that level up and that change. So that next step of that wardrobe edit, I feel I have seen the change and the let go and the vulnerability and all of the emotions come out in quite a few of my clients, because it is so sneaky up on you vulnerable that I feel like so many people don't realize how much they put of their mindset in their clothes, in their closet. And then when they're ready to level up, it's a definite like, oh, we have to get rid of that. Like, are we sure? For me, like talking to my clients quite often, it's like, well, like you are remarried and it is from like an ex-boyfriend. So I don't know. Maybe I think might be good. Or for some of my other clients that they are like, moving up in their career and they're like, oh, but that was my first suit from da da da, or that was my first
Hmm.
dress from this. And it's like sometimes, for that, just it was like one of a kind, or, had some special tailoring, special tweaking to it. I'll be like, okay, you can keep it, but like, let's, frame it or something. But like, it's the old you. It's
Mhm.
the
Yeah.
previous you. You've now like elevated, you've leveled up, like you have earned with all of your hard work a style shift. And so if you, pop that back on, it will reset backwards. And I feel like a lot of times people don't realize that clothing has that power to like reset you backwards if you keep those pieces, or to continue to elevate you and bring you forward with that. So I feel like that like letting go bit of it is sneaky vulnerable, but like the you on the other side is just so amazing. But yeah, a lot of my clients, it's a little bit of a bumpy ride.
Right. Now, I think that's good because it made me think of, going back to the weight thing. And the only reason I bring that up, because I know that's something a lot of women struggle with, right? Yo-yoing in their weight
Hmm.
and dressing their now body. And so
Mhm,
now that
mhm.
I've
Or like,
lost,
post-pregnancy,
right,
pregnancy.
exactly. Those all great examples. Losing a little bit of weight and then your clothes fitting a little differently, like jeans perhaps. And I had just invested, not just, but it's been a few years, but I make good investments in my clothes, so I'm expecting them to go the distance. But already I'm like, these jeans look a little saggy in the crotch, right?
Mhm.
Or
Mm.
something like that. And so fit is really important. So
Yep.
for me, that was the one thing, like, I'm going to have to figure this out, try everything on. And
Mhm.
if it still fits well, okay. If not, then I either need to like resell that or get rid of it and invest in something else. And I know a lot of women are really hesitant to do that. But when you cling to those old things that don't quite fit you right now and fit your
Yeah.
now body, it's
Yep.
hard for you to like you said, evolve with where you're
Mhm.
going
Yeah, and
because you're
also,
stuck
like,
in the past. Yeah,
clinging
Yeah.
to old brands of your old
exactly.
Uh-huh.
body type and being like, "Well, I only shop at X, Y, and Z," and, like, I have
Hmm.
for, like, decades. It's like, well, like, with your style evolution, then we can shop at other places. Like,
Right.
you
Hmm.
can, explore these and find all kinds of awesome things there. But, yeah, I
Yeah.
find people get very stuck.
Yeah, and there's so
Yes.
much fun in discovery, right? I'm
Right?
following this
Yeah.
woman on Facebook who's just lost a sizable amount of weight. She's having so much fun
Right.
finding new things, and she'll post herself and be like, "Is this too old, lady? Should I not wear this?" Because she's really enjoying dressing her new body, right? And
Mhm.
finding
Mm.
things that resonate with her, things that probably when she was a bigger size, she never would have paid attention to
Yep.
are catching her eye now that she's at a more comfortable weight. So,
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's real interesting how that impacts us, right?
Yeah, I definitely relate to the weight thing because the yo-yoing is hard. It makes me want to hang on to the things. Like, I don't know if I'm going to be 10 pounds heavier, 10 pounds lighter right now because I'm
Yep.
going through the perimenopause.
Mhm.
And I don't know what my weight is going to be in a month or by the end of the year. I mean, so it's really hard. And I can relate to a lot of women who are struggling with that right now, which is probably right now why I'm attracting so many female clients because I'm getting a lot of people that are in that same dilemma,
Yeah.
you
Mhm.
know, the season of their life. And so, but for me, because I was a designer for so many years, I would when I first started my business, I remember I had all these clothes that would kind of like represent that particular designer that I worked for. Because, when you work for a place, you
Hmm.
tend to blend in with the brand of the
Mhm.
company,
Absolutely.
and which is smart. But then when I became an entrepreneur, I'm like, I'm my own brand. So I,
Yeah.
I have to think about my own persona,
Yep.
not this brand that I worked for. So I remember just I held on to those things as they were nice things, but really thinking if they're really me at this point,
Mhm.
or the brand that I thought was me that I would buy a lot of,
Yep.
it was like, really, was it me or was I just trying to fit in, like
Mhm.
with my designer friends? Like, it was a lot of that. And then rediscovering now, as I'm in another stage, is like, well, I kind of really want to invest in more quality things that are
Mhm.
going to be, um, long lasting over time versus more cyclical, So I'm thinking about those things myself, This is a good inquiry even for myself at this point. So it's a
Mhm.
good conversation to have.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it really is. It really is. How we choose, it's really about how we choose to show up. So,
Yep.
how are you choosing to show up this second half of the year?
Mm.
So we want you, our listeners, our viewers, to think about that too. But we're going to tell you from our perspective how we're choosing to show up the rest of the year.
Mm. Hmm.
Yeah. For me, I guess just always like authentic and sophisticated because I feel like that's both sides of my brand, my personalities, is that for me, I'm very much drawn to like minimalism and Parisian and, classic, sophisticated pieces. And then I always, make sure that, through my pictures, through my branding, and when I'm on with clients, that they know, like, I am like truly here for you. I am just so like helping, guiding, like no bad questions, like safe space. So I always like to just make sure like they know that it's truly authenticness and that I've got their back and I'm here to help, rather than, because I've had some clients come up to me that are, saying how refreshing it is to work with me and how excited they are to work with me, because a personal stylist beforehand had just belittled them and made them feel like poo, which I'm like, that's just disgusting, horrible, and that person should not be styling anybody at all.Maybe they could style mannequins and yell at the mannequins. But yeah, I love, I guess sophisticated and authentic. It's how I'm showing up.
I like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Tavia, you want to go or you want me to?
You go next. You go next.
Well, it's interesting because, my thing right now, I'm building this community of faith-based women, right? It's called the Bold Faith Leadership Lab for Women. And inside of that container, I'm all about using that same word, authenticity. I want to show women leaders that they can truly show up as themselves, as a reflection of their core values, and still have impact and still have authority and still reach people in a way that is just forward thinking and leading and bold, right? So I feel like in doing that, I have to model that for my community. So showing up boldly, showing up true to who I am, right? And not being afraid to, really step into everything that I want to see myself as, right? Because everything that we need is already within us. Sometimes we're looking for all these external things. And while clothes are really great, right? It's how we wear them that really makes the impression on people. So that's where I'm leaning into that bold, still authentic, but boldness, so that other women can see, if she can show up that way, I can show up in a way that resonates with who I am, right? So it's like by modeling that, you make other people feel free and comfortable to do the same thing. So that's kind of how I'm showing up and how I'm choosing to show up this second half of the year.
I love that.
All right, Tavia, I'm really excited to hear what you're going to say.
I think for me, it's the word like polished and powerful, because, right now I'm not feeling great in my body, but one thing I can have control over is what I put on my body.
Right.
So if my clothes make me feel polished and put together and powerful, then I can start to embody that, even if I don't feel amazing in my skin at the moment. And I'm also giving myself grace with that, because for however many years of my life, I've always put that pressure, like, you've got to be a certain weight, and oh my God, you're 10 pounds, now go on a diet. And then I get comfortable and relaxed, and then it's like, oh my God, you lost the weight, I feel great. It's like this constant, like, conversation with myself about, well, why can't you just maintain this weight? Yeah. And so, like, I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to give myself grace.
Absolutely.
Let's take that little voice in my head and let's silence it for a while. And when I'm ready to really put in that effort for the long term and get myself to a good place physically, then I will. I know I'm when I set my mind to something, I will be all in. But right now, I just want to feel good, and not necessarily about, oh my God, it's because of the weight I am. More just size, like, weight and size is more like, well, can I feel good regardless of my weight and size?
Right now.
Because right now, and
Mhm.
I know I can do that with the power of clothing because
Mhm.
that's what I teach people how to do.
Yes.
So
Right.
I'm going to do it for myself. So that's,
Mhm.
yeah, that's what's
Yeah.
came up for me with that question.
Oh, excellent. And that's just such a good way to like wrap up this conversation because that's what this is. It's a reset in your wardrobe, but it's also a mindset reset, right?
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of being really in tuned with where you are in this season and being okay with that. Being
Yeah.
okay with that, whatever that is
If
for
you have
you.
enough to worry about in the world as it is, again,
Yeah.
the political anything, but I feel like there's enough upheaval in all areas that,
Mm,
giving ourselves grace. Yeah.
mhm. Yeah,
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
really.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, any last minute thoughts that you would leave with our audience today about this mid-year style reset?
I guess I would say, what we've kind of just been saying of like, give yourself grace, give yourself a pause, like, don't beat yourself up. Like, we were just talking about the world does that enough, I think, for all of us. But I would definitely like challenge our listeners, challenge our viewers to, make that quick assessment in like your wardrobe and your mindset. If you did do New Year's Eve, aspirational goals, check in, see, did I get all of them? Did I get some of them? Give yourself a pat on the back if you got, some of them. And then I would take a peek at like, what style are you attracted to? Are you seeing like different people, TV, magazines, TikTok, Insta, that you're like, wow, I really like how they dress? And then take a look at your own wardrobe. And that might be like a fun project of like, all right, I forgot about this goal. I'm going to hit that goal and, change up my style a little and just keep like checking in with myself. And always, everybody deserves a little bit more and everybody is worth a little bit more.
Hmm.
Very good.
Yeah, I think that's good. My final takeaway would be like, we don't have control of a lot of what's going on right now. We don't have control of the markets, inflation, political climate. We have somewhat, right? But there's a lot happening. Climates change, everything's going on. And it feels overwhelming and it feels chaotic. But one thing you have control of is yourself and how
Mhm.
you decide to show up every day and what you put out there in the world of like who you are and how you want to be perceived. So your image is the thing you have control over. So that's why we say like focus on that. That
Yeah.
can empower you
Yep.
immediately. So
Mhm.
invest in yourself and
Yeah.
focus on this. Mm-hmm.
That's good. Invest
I
in
love
yourself.
that. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
no, that's great. And the only other thing I would add is this question to ask yourself when you're getting dressed, right? Who would I dress like if I were not trying to fit in, but just
Mm.
simply be who I am, right? So think about that
Great
and
question.
build your wardrobe around that. So
Yeah, and have some fun and give yourself some grace.
that's right.
Hmm. Great conversation today. Hope everybody got some tips and takeaways. Please
Sounds value.
leave some comments if you like this conversation. Drop your comments, drop your questions below. We're happy to answer those as well. And
Or
we
other
look forward to
topics.
hearing them or other topics. If you have other topics you'd like us to talk about, we'd love to hear from you.
Yes.
And we'll see you next time.
All right.
Bye,
Bye,
everyone.
everybody.